Alright guys, so welcome to my first episode of this development series that I'm going to be making. Let's create a custom story. So basically what this series is going to be is me developing from start to finish a custom story that I'm going to be publishing that you should be able to play, and it should include some rather interesting stuff. And I've been thinking a lot about the story, and particularly lately now I've been going through a lot of these minor details and also been talking a lot with friends and getting their input. So I've come to some sort of conclusion, but it's not exactly set in stone yet. So the story can easily be tweaked a little bit here and there. And of course, if you have any inputs that you want me to add to the story, then you can be sure to put it in the comments, and I will read it. And if it's a good idea that will fit in, then I see no problem in adding it. Anyways, so as you can see here in Photoshop, I have a little map kind of thing. It's basically just a little sketch I did for how the setup of the story is going to be. But it doesn't exactly tell you that much. I haven't drawn all the maps yet. So as for that, I'm going to have to do that too. So this first episode, I'm just going to be introducing you to the idea. And then in the next episode, we're probably going to be starting a little bit more on actually doing some work. But now, as I'm just going to be explaining some of the things that I want to get done with before actually starting. So for example, one of the things is the story. I want to get done with the story. So if I open up TextEdit, I should be able to find the developer story, this one. It doesn't look that well on this particular text editor because it looks kind of cramped and not very formatted. But this is basically just a text explaining how the story is going to be doing, and I'm gonna quickly go through it. Basically, you are a treasure hunter by the name of, well, it could be any name really. I just came up with a quick name, Charles McConnor. I don't know why, I just thought it sounded kind of cool. So you're a treasure hunter, and you've been sent to investigate and retrieve a treasure from an ancient pyramid. So basically, you're going to be going to the desert. The story is going to be taking place around a desert inside a temple, with around like an Aztec temple style, not just an Egyptian temple, but an Aztec temple. I think they look a little cooler and not so plain. So it's going to be an Aztec temple in the desert. I'm going to make the story around that, and I'm going to be focusing a lot on the puzzles in the story because I feel like I have a lot of ideas that I want to implement that I feel like could be cool to play through, and it would be a bit more challenging because instead of having just a game that relies on scares, because if you're not that scared, then it's easy to go through and it could be rather boring. But with puzzles, unless they're really difficult, then you're most likely not going to be that bored, and you might take your time with it, and if you can figure it out, then it's going to be a lot more fun, and you're going to feel like an accomplishment from completing the puzzle. So I'm going to be relying a lot on puzzles in the story, so if you know all the answers to the puzzle, it might not take that long to go through the whole thing. Like, I don't know, I'm going to have to actually make it and test it to see how long it's going to be taking, but let's say 15 minutes if you know what you're doing, 45 an hour maybe if you don't. I don't know, just a rough estimate, but we'll have to see later how that actually turns out to be. But so basically it could be potentially a quick story, but it's hopefully going to be a longer story because of the puzzles, and you're going to have to figure out things. So it's going to be relying on the puzzles, as I said, yeah. And as it says at the very top here also, as you start the story, you already start off with some items, because I don't really want to put that many items in a pyramid because it's an ancient pyramid. You don't really have oil and, well, maybe oil, I don't know. But I'm not going to include that. It doesn't really have like sanity potion and laudanum, and I also wanted to equip them with a pickaxe. I also wrote later that there was a shovel that you might be able to pick up, but I might cut out that and just give them the shovel to begin with, just with a pickaxe. So it'll be like a starter equipment, and he'll be sent out there, and the treasure hunter will have to discover all the shit going on in this pyramid. So yeah, that's basically the rough story. You'll be entering the pyramid, going through the puzzles, getting the treasure, and getting the hell out of there. So, it's a very simple story. I have not added any plot twists yet, so therefore I feel like the story should be tweaked a little bit, because right now it's very plain. The story is basically just go there, do that. Even though the puzzles probably make up for it to make it a fun custom story, I still like to include a rather interesting story. So if you have anything that you want to add to the story, perhaps like we have a protagonist and an antagonist, that something happens, something unexpected happens, plot twist, plot twists. So just to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm probably going to be talking a lot with my friends about this, and come up with some kind of ideas that I can propose for next episode. So, yeah, you'll be starting out with some items, you'll be going there, and there will be a lot of puzzles. If we look back to the Photoshop, this is the introduction. Basically, I could have voice acting, black screens, introduction, logos, titles, and then the introduction of the story where you just enter the temple. Then we have the entrance area. I'm going to add some puzzles there. And then this does not say porn, it says PONR. Basically just short of for point of no return. It's actually a thing that happens in stories, where it's like it's usually near the end by the climax, where point of no return means you cannot go back in the story. Like if the main character chose to turn around and walk away, he would not be able to. But in this sense, I just wrote it because I'm going to be cutting the connection there, so that the player will not be able to return once they've entered. So once they enter the hub level for the pyramid, the door back is going to be closed. So that's why I mean no return. Then in that hub level, there's going to be 5 other paths. 4 of them being the paths that you need to collect stone slates from. Or actually clay slates. I changed that to clay slates because of a reason later. And then you'll be using those 4 to unlock the 5th door to carry on here to the light puzzle, which is near the end. And then we have the treasure room, and then something's going to go wrong and you're going to have to get back out. So the 4 puzzles, one of them being a maze. The inspiration I actually made this puzzle quite a long time ago, a couple of months ago, and I was very pleased with it. So since I don't really have much to use it for, because I was working on a story, but I kind of abandoned it in a way. We haven't worked much on it lately, so I'm thinking maybe I'll just take the ideas from that story, because I had a lot of good ideas in there. So I'll just take them and implement in here instead. So one of the things we had in there was this maze. Was actually not me originally who created it, although I did make it from scratch, the functions and all that in Amnesia, but the idea was originally created by Jagex in the game RuneScape. So if you have played RuneScape and the quest Ernest the Chicken, it's a very free-to-play simple quest. It has a maze part that was really difficult when I was a kid, like when I was younger. It was really difficult, but now that I've made it myself, it's actually really simple. But I feel like I want to create that puzzle in there because it is a rather interesting puzzle. It makes sense if you know what to do. And I mean, if you don't know what to do, I'm going to be explaining what you're going to do, but you're going to have to figure it out yourself, So I want to add a maze there, and in here, weight puzzle. It's going to be like a scale. Goes up and down, you got to put some granite blocks or whatever, sandstone on there, and there's going to be stuck on one side, and you're going to have to put the equal amount on the other side. That could be one puzzle that could be used. Then in that room also, I'm going to somehow trigger a pitfall, which is going to... part of the story, the player is going to be hydrophobic, so he cannot swim, he's afraid of water. So I'm going to make that pitfall fill up with water. Even though it's a desert, it might not make that much sense, but usually there are these water sources in deserts, so let's not worry too much about that, because technically this wouldn't make much sense, because Aztec temples are not that much in deserts. They're more, because Aztec temples are in Middle America, South America, not in Sahara. So I'm not going to go chronically correct on everything, but anyways, so the water's going to fill up, and we're going to have some puzzles on the floor there, And I feel like I can do that pretty well. I can execute that where the player is underwater, have to be claustrophobic, stuff like that, to figure it out. So it's going to be put a lot of stress on it. But anyways, okay, let's go a little quicker through here. Clay imprint. You get here. I'm gonna put some puzzle there because that's gonna be the actual puzzle, or the supposed puzzle. But then you're gonna figure out that the clay tablet or the clay slate has actually been broken, or maybe you pick it up and it breaks. You drop it or whatever, and there you have to repair it. So basically, you'll take the two parts. Let's say it broke in two. You'll take those two. You take some clay, mix it with water to make it into moldable clay. So you mold it around the tablet, and then you burn it in a furnace or a fire source somewhere around there, so it will turn hard. And then you'll use some more clay inside that hard mold to recreate the tablet that just broke. I thought that could be like a rather interesting thing to add, and I'll be interesting to see if I can pull it off, because that was one of the ideas I actually had for the original, the other story that I made some puzzles for, although it wasn't clay. It was more like you had a key chained to a wall and you needed to recreate it in brass, but this is a very similar idea. And then we have the toxic room, which is basically just, I'm going to put some fog in there so it's not easy to see. It's going to be smoky. It's going to be, you can't stay in there for long, so you're going to have to do some things in there like a puzzle, but with a time limit, so it's going to be more stressful. Also, throughout these places, I'm going to have, I was hoping to see if I could find a mummy model for the monster, but I don't know if I'll be able to actually execute that. It would be really difficult for me because I'm not good with animation, for one. I'm not good with animation. Unless someone has already made the monster, I don't think I'll be able to do that. So the monster model itself is advanced enough as it is, and then the animation, and then implementing it into Amnesia, it would be really difficult. So I might just be using the grunt, because the grunt kind of resembles a mummy, in a way. And then you get those 4 slates. They're gonna do a puzzle with those 4 to open the door. In here, there's a light puzzle where it's like there's a light ray shining down. It's going to be, I'm gonna make it into a puzzle where you gotta guide the light with mirrors and crystals and stuff like that. It was actually kind of inspired by Zelda Wind Waker in the Earth Temple, as well as RuneScape again, one of the later quests, Morning's End Part 2. But anyways, it's going to be, I'm going to make some light puzzle there. We'll see how it goes. I haven't really decided it yet, but we can make that. And then we come to the treasure room. You pick up the treasure, and either the walls or the ceiling starts to squish you, crush you. You have a time limit to finish the puzzle that's in there, which under stress, a lot of people could be like, oh my god, what to do? And that's not necessarily scary, but it is stressful at times. So therefore, I want to make like a claustrophobic, stressful situation. And then you complete that and get out the back door, and you can somehow finish the story. We'll have an outro there or whatever. So that's kind of not so quick rundown of what I was thinking for the idea of the story. As for the models, I can probably create all the walls, textures, the doors. Well, I can find some textures on Google, maybe. Hopefully they're not too copyrighted. I'm not too certain about that, but so we'll find textures, we'll make the model. I'll probably show you how I create some of the models, but I'll probably cut out a lot of the model creation because it's going to consume a lot of time, like an hour per model, if it's an advanced one. So therefore, I'm probably going to cut that out, and then just make a lot of models, and it can probably do this fairly well, I feel. And if you think this is a good idea, then please do say so, like the video perhaps. It shows me that you like what I'm trying to do here, I guess. As for the story, yeah, it's kind of what I just explained for the main part of the story. Key points: advanced puzzle, time limit, claustrophobic atmosphere, insanity increasing, and abnormal scares. So I have a lot of ideas around these things, and I want to be using the grunt around here at some points. I'm not going to be focusing too much on the scares because I'm not exactly sure. I feel like I'm not that good with scares using the default monsters anymore, because I've been using them so much that I kind of know everything about them, so they're not so curious, I guess. They're not so interesting. So therefore, I kind of wanted a unique monster. But if I'm not able to get that, I'll just use the grunt. We'll see. I'll probably won't, but you never know. Anyways, so that's kind of the idea, and yeah, so this is just the first episode. It's probably a bit longer than I actually thought it would be, but I'm thinking for the episodes I'm going to be doing onwards, I'll probably keep them around 30 minutes, perhaps, although 30 minutes isn't that long when it comes to development time, but I might be just doing that for the sake of the episode. I'm not sure how long this whole series is going to last, but I'm hoping to spend about 3 months, perhaps, around 3 months on making this story, because you don't really want to rush it, but you don't really want to spend more time than necessary, because if you spend a lot of time on it and you're not working that much, you might get tired of it and not be done with it. That's kind of what's happened before with that other story that I was working on. But anyways, I also have friends who are willing to voice act for me. So if I am not voice acting myself, then I can get them to voice act for some characters. There's not going to be that many characters, but, you know, perhaps 2-3 characters. It'll be enough. And then we can have some voice actors there. They also make music. Perhaps I can ask them to make some music for it, some ambience. I'll have to see if they're able to do that. If not, I do already have some things that I can use. Yeah. So basically, I already have a few basic things that I can use, so I can make this story and all. But I'm going to see if I can if I can get a hold of some enhancements. And the more people who join in on this project, the larger the credit lists will be, and the more professional it will look. Kind of, I guess. I don't know. But the more people, the merrier, you know? So, therefore, if you have an idea, then please post a comment, and I will see if I can implement it. And if you have anything else you would like to say, then be sure to just post anything. And I will add you to the credits if I add an idea that you gave me or whatever. And basically, I'm just seeing how many people I'm able to fit into the credits. I'll label it as a community project or something. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. And that's the story. Actually, I did a quick drawing. This doesn't really say much. This is just like an overview map of the first intro level where the temple is, the Aztec temple. The player starts here. It's quiet. It's in the middle of the desert. It'll be like a hill right here. So I'll be walking up the hill and seeing the temple and then entering it, and that's when it actually starts. It's just an intro sequence, which I thought would be kind of cool. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have so far. It might have been not that much, like you might have expected more, but that's what I have for now, and I'm going to be continuously developing this and see if I can, in the next episode, I'm going to start off with the actual work, where I'm going to be creating some models. I'm going to create some maps of how I want the things to be and hopefully finish up the story, because I want to get the story done before I start with the actual work, or else you might make things that are not used in the story, and that will be just a waste of time and resource. So yeah, you want to get most of the documentation done before actually starting on a big project, because or else things will get unorganized, and I want to try to keep this project organized, as that will probably help out a lot in the later, later. So I was actually wondering if I wanted to make this a full conversion mod or not. In a full conversion, you can use a custom lantern and other things like that, but I might not need to, but it would be cool, I guess, but we'll see. So, I suppose that would be everything for now. I might have forgotten some things that I wanted to mention, but anyways, if you're interested in following along with this series that I'm going to be doing, I would be happy if you want to. Yeah, sure. I really don't know how to end this episode, so I'm just going to say follow along if you want to know. I'm going to be using a lot of function scripting, a lot of level editing, a lot of tips and tricks, I guess. So if you're following along, and you can pick up all the things that I do, and if you don't know just a very simple thing, or just something that is so general that I wouldn't make a tutorial about it, then you can follow along and perhaps see how I do it in the story. So after I'm done with the story, I'm going to be uploading to ModDB, and I'm going to be do bug tests and all that stuff. Basically everything. I'm going to make this an actual story. So when it's done, you can play it, and if you are not watching the series by the time it's out, you can play it before watching it, so that it'll be more interesting. I suppose you won't know all the answers, you know. But anyways, that would be it for now, and I will thank you for watching, and I will see you later.